Welcome to Evangelicalish, where we discuss the good, the bad, and the ugly of the American evangelical church, deconstruction, faith, and God's love through it all. Join us for these episodes live on our Evangelicalish YouTube page on Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 Central, and 6 o'clock Pacific. Let's journey together.
All right.
Hello, everybody. Oh,
sorry. Let me do that.
Paul.
There we go.
Oh, not this. I don't like this.
Enough about us. Let's talk about me.
Let's talk about me. Let's talk about
Old Toby Keith. Hello, everybody. Welcome to season 4 of Evangelicalish. We've had a lovely break. Lots has happened, which I'm sure we'll get into, but we have missed you all and our weekly gatherings of sorts. But we're back for another fun-filled, heretical season of Evangelicalish. And I am April.
I'm Paul.
And I'm Jeremy.
And it's the first episode of season 4, so that was not amazing, but it's fine. We've got 8 episodes to fix it. Paul is going to lead us in our first segment.
Yeah.
Take it away.
We're calling today's episode Jeremy Unplugged.
Yes. He's like, man, thou art loosed.
Oh my gosh.
He's being set free, so to speak. And many of you saw this, and you guys are so cool. We saw prayer request. I was doing a TikTok live the other day, and I had people asking prayer for Jeremy. If you missed it, Jeremy ended up resigning his position at his church and stepping out. And Jeremy, people have been concerned for you, excited for you, all of those things. And so what do you want to tell us about how did this come about? And it seemed like maybe it happened a little quicker than you thought it might.
Yeah, well, it's been a crazy.
Oh no!
Well,
oh my gosh!
Not even 2 minutes in, and Jeremy's been raptured. Well,
we hope he comes back. We lost
that
him there
whole first segment was about Jeremy, so
I know
I hope he can come back in.
It's going to be tough for us to feel.
We've got a.
That's an interesting look.
I can barely see him. What is happening with your screen?
It just all like reset itself. Just
there you go.
There we go.
I'm so glad we do this live.
What was happening? Yeah, Jeremy unplugged. Literally
unplugged.
Now, there are going to be some people who say that the Lord did that. And then there's going to be others who say, that was Satan. But
no, I was going to say, like, old me would have been like, oh, the devil's messing with
Could
the sound.
It
be? Yeah.
Like it's
Satan.
Did his former church.
Somebody's kicking the plug out of the wall socket.
That was really, I have no idea what happened. It just was like, your devices are disconnected. Okay. All right. So what was the question, Paul? Sorry.
Yeah. What can you tell us briefly about, what happened? What happened?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there had been kind of, is Jeremy salty?
Yes.
So there had been kind of some conversations about me stepping out anyway. I had been talking about potentially not between them and myself, but my wife and I were talking about me potentially stepping out and going on to do community groups and or whatever, not necessarily that, but it's just that indoctrinated language, I guess. But just groups for folks online and groups for folks in person here in Oklahoma City, the metro area. And so, just connecting with, and I think the phrase that a lot of my folks said on my live stream one night and that I've carried over to Patreon, which has been a really good conversation, was not church, right? That it's just a place that's safe and accepting and loving and just is open to good conversation and dialogue. And so that was kind of like something
you're kind of already considering, you were looking at the exit, wondering if there was going to be a time.
Yeah. Wondering if there was going to be a time. And,
and if I can interrupt again, what you were doing on TikTok was creating some discomfort there.
Well, it had always created discomfort.
Yeah.
I think from day one, nobody was ever comfortable with it from the very first time I went viral, which was in November. And that was my second video, I think, on TikTok. Right. And so there was already a level of discomfort. I think there was some shade over that to kind of protect me for a season because we were still online only. So there was a lot of folks that we weren't seeing week to week. And, you know, it was just the worship team that I worked with. It was just the, you know, our staff, very core, you know, staff. And so through that season, it was a little bit more manageable. Even when there were folks who didn't necessarily agree with what I was saying, there was a lot more of a buffer. And then we went back in person and all of a sudden it was like, whoa, dude, like, you know, we got to talk about some stuff. I saw you on the internets, you know? And so there were some just difficult conversations through that.
On AOL.
And there was increasing challenges every time I would have something go viral that either, and I never have anything go viral that everybody in the world is like, yes, this is so good. We love it. Everyone loves it. Everything that I have, and it's just the nature of my content, right? Everything that I have, there are two sides. And so there is a ton of people who are supportive and loving and caring about what I say and who feel empowered by what I say and uplifted by what I say and challenged by what I say. And then there's a whole other group of people who are angry and bitter and hurt and, you know, whatever it is. So a lot of that started backlashing directly on the church because through that season, I was also trying to reconnect people, hopefully to a safe community, which I will say this, you know, West Metro Community Church is a place where people can go and just genuinely be loved. Our staff does a really good job there to just care for people as they are. I think I still legitimately believe that. However, with each passing ramp up, so it started like the first, like real, well, I shouldn't say even the first. One of the real big ones after the first of the year was the Lil Nas X thing. It blew up. There was a church in
the affirming.
Yeah. Well, and just me saying that the church should feel ashamed for their actions towards him, and no wonder he was retaliating, right? Like this was, you know, you want to sling mud at somebody, and then you're surprised when they sling mud back, you know?
Right.
And so I was just calling us to be better, you know, to quit this cancel culture bullcrap and everything like that. So that caused a firestorm. It went viral. Tons of people got into the conversation. Out of that, there were people calling and texting and emailing our church and our leaders. And then, you know, there was another one after that. It got a little bit progressively worse. And then the Modest is Hottest thing, which was the first time I had actually, which April does this about every week, so it's no big deal to her, but it was the first time I had a video over 1 million views. So that was exciting. And so, but with that came like, you know, I mean, and of course it caught media attention. You know, John Cooper took aim at me and you know, I did the interview with Newsweek and it ended up on the Blaze. And then once it hit the Blaze and Allie,
wasn't it on Good Morning? Was it Good Morning America? Or there was some
Today.
Today. It was an article in Today.
Yeah. The Today Show's online platform picked it up and did an article.
It started catching some eyes then.
And so with each passing viral or bigger, you know, topic that I would speak into, there was just progressively more frustration, progressively more agitation or discomfort. And it was becoming more and more difficult to kind of navigate that. And I struggled because there were times that I got tired of hearing people say, I agree with you, but.
Yeah.
And specifically this last time when I went on to our CBS affiliate here in Oklahoma City, And I did an interview, a sit down interview at the station. And I said that not people who don't get the vaccine. That's not what I said. I said people or religious leaders who are spreading conspiracy theories and telling people not to get the vaccine have blood on their hands.
Yeah.
And it was another instance of I agree with you, but maybe you shouldn't have said it this way or whatever. And it really came to a head. It was a mess of circumstances. I was out of town with my family. I was, we were at the lake together spending time. I literally took the phone call like while I was driving my kids on the tube on the boat.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
And so when they came back to me and said, we need to sit down and figure out, what this looks like going forward in a very after I had known they had already discussed internally about just directly firing me on the spot when I had never done anything to deserve that.
Wow.
I said, no, thank you. I would rather just be with my family in this time. So because the thing is at the end of the day, like it or lump it, I stand by what I said.
Yeah.
And I believe what I said. And I'm not going to compromise what I said.
Yeah.
Because it is costing lives.
Yeah.
And as a church, we trumpeted being a church that was comprehensively pro-life. In other words, we cared about lives in general. We, Black Lives Matter, all of these things, right? Wear a mask, get the vaccine, like all of those things. And so for us to not call out religious leaders who were talking about the mark of the beast or talking about it just doesn't fit.
Yeah.
So you had to step out?
And so I just knew that it was just going to come to such a head that it was either going to break any semblance of relationships I had left with people there, or I was going to have to silence myself in a way that I wasn't comfortable with. And so I refused to take even the next several weeks down the road to say, yes, I will shut up, because there are just far too many things that are important in our world that we need to be talking about, and good dialogue is happening.
Yeah.
And,
And you have a platform
Yep.
and people want to hear what you have to say. Like you've built that community, and
it is a community. And I don't look at it as a following as much as I look at it as a community. Right. And it's a place where people can come and they can be safe and we can have good conversations, and they know that they're going to come into a place where they're loved and appreciated, and their ideas and their values are appreciated there. As long as you don't come in spewing, nonsense, you're cool here. Now we can passionately talk about stuff. And if you want to keep it on the issues, like we can sling on some issues, like we don't have to agree, and that's totally fine. I'm going to be outspoken and direct and serious about the issues, but I am never going to take personal attacks. I'm never going to make it about, you as an individual or whatever like that. Like we can go grab a beer when we're done. Like it's totally fine.
Yeah.
And that's, and so that's what I want. And so it has been built into a community, which has been so good. And so when there's so many things happening, it's not that my voice is so relevant, because that's never the case. It's the fact that this community needs a good space for dialogue, and there needs to be starting places for that. And that is my ministry. And I'm not going to set aside things that I'm passionate about in my ministry. I'm not going to not say things that I feel like is at the heart of God.
Yeah.
Let me jump in. And, we have a lot of people here watching that they've left their church communities behind. You've been one kind of saying, let's burn down the church while working at a church, which I always thought was, something that was probably difficult for you to navigate that. How are you guys feeling? What is the experience like to know that you're leaving that community behind?
Yeah.
Waves of emotions.
Yeah.
You know, there are people that I still love that, you know, it's been hard and we've agreed or we've disagreed. It's been brutal. And I don't know if I would necessarily agree with saying that I want to burn down the church. I want to burn down American evangelicalism.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
I think that the church, the way Jesus intended it, community, the way Jesus intended it, is still righteous and holy and right.
Mm.
But we're just not doing it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well said.
And it doesn't look like what we've developed it to in America. And so, you know, I just think we have got to tear it down to the studs, or even all the way to the foundation, and go, Jesus is the foundation. Now what? Mm. And so for me, that's still where I'm at. I'm probably closer to Jesus in this season than I've ever been, because I'm unsure. But I've been so blessed. Like, I cannot believe the support and the love and the prayers and just the endless amounts of compassion that people have shown me through this season. You know, tons of people are asking me to plant a church and you know, to do this.
In the comments here, they're asking you to.
So I've shared this with folks on my Patreon. And you know, the second group I wanted to share this with was my Evangelicalish family. So what we're going to do is I'm working on something right now, and it's going to launch in October, and there's going to be more information coming out. But basically what's going to happen is that we're going to offer an in-person gathering, you know, obviously as long as it's safe with everything going on with the pandemic. But we're going to offer an in-person gathering for folks here in the Oklahoma City metro area, Sundays for brunch. It's going to look way different. We're going to have open, good dialogue, you know, and have good community. And so, you know, that's where that idea of not church has been coming from. And then we're also going to, I'm going to offer an online version of that later in the day, probably on Sunday. I am actively working on avoiding another pastor that I care really deeply about, and not because I know our communities are close. And so I want to be really wise in how I handle that, because Paul, I appreciate what you do online. And so I know we've had a little bit of dialogue about that, but so I'm going to offer that at a different time than Paul's, so that folks can go to both, or, you know, whatever they want to do. But so probably while Paul's doing his thing, we'll be in person here in Oklahoma City. And
well, I think there's enough people who have lost their churches for us all to be in that space. April, what was it like for you and Beecher to make that decision to leave your church community behind?
Yeah, so we kind of didn't make that decision. The pandemic kind of forced our hand, because we were still regularly going to church, and the pandemic happened and everything, you know, we were like, oh, we'll just stay home. So we haven't regularly been back to church since last March. So March of 2020, before it all went crazy. We've gone to a local Methodist church a couple times, and I think we both really crave that community. That's how far Ohio is from That's funny.
It's a bit of a drive, I think.
Yeah. So I think
tiny one.
Yeah. One thing that my husband Beecher and I have definitely decided on is, for us personally, we don't feel good about supporting with our attendance and with, you know, financial support eventually a community group or a church that is not LGBTQ affirming. And there's also other issues as well, but that seems to be the big one. And like, I want a church that, you know, is kind of like, oh yeah, everybody's welcome, but not really, you know, that kind of doesn't just say it. Yeah. Like, I want, like, there's a church called Grace Point in Nashville, and they talk about how they are LGBTQ inclusive, like, on their website. I'm like, I want a church like that is open and honest about being inclusive. And that's just really hard to find in small town Tennessee. So I think there's definitely room for a future church experience, but I think the thing that was really hard is I've noticed in the last few weeks, because I was just like, I was trying to weed out some of the people that I had been following on Instagram and then even on Facebook. And I had noticed that a lot of people from my church, even people that were on the worship team with me, had like already deleted me and unfollowed me. And and I even wrote worship songs for a local worship band and they had unfollowed me. Like
Good
they get
grief.
royalties off of songs that I had written. So
Oh my gosh. Nope. I'll see you in court. Oh my gosh.
So I mean, it's
Christians
fine.
are
It's
dirty.
whatever. I think it's the hardest part for me is one, missing community, but thankfully we've kind of found that more recently because of TikTok. We found some local people. But the hardest thing for me has just been seeing people, especially people that grew up in my dad's church, because my dad was a pastor, that have known me my entire life and know my heart. People that know me that have suddenly like thrown me aside as trash, as suddenly I'm of the devil and I am on the outside, because I was inside this group for my entire life, and being on the outside of it looking in is very freeing in many ways, but there's a lot of grief there because one, it's grief of losing those people who I know will never look at me the same. And I mean, I'll never look at them the same either.
Right.
But it's also grief of losing certainty, losing I used to know everything. I had a Bible verse for all the things, and now there's just I just feel like I'm just not on sturdy ground because I don't know, but it's also so freeing at the same time. I was telling someone recently I was kind of explaining my own journey of how I became LGBTQ affirming. And when I first became affirming, this is kind of going on a sidebar, but I'll just tell it real quick. When I first decided to become affirming, I didn't know. Like I wasn't 100%. Like I knew what the scripture said, and I knew that there was a lot of evidence with translations and mistranslations to show that it's not a sin, but I couldn't unlearn all the indoctrination that I had been taught my entire life. Like that was really hard to let go of. But I just decided, I kind of lived in I don't know for a while. And then one day I just realized if I don't know, and there's enough evidence to really put this in question, that I'm just going to err on the side that loves these people and includes these people and affirms them. And it was just amazing to me. Like I really thought that I loved LGBTQ people before, but just like, love the sinner, hate the sin. Like I really did think that that was love. But it wasn't until I took that barrier down and like actually looked at them as humans and loved them and saw them as God's creation that I could love them. Like it's just been so freeing in how I can love people. And I really think this is freedom in Christ without the bondage and the prison cell of religion and what the evangelical church put around me. So it's like, yeah, so there's a lot of really good things and most of it is good, but it definitely, like kind of like Jeremy says, like there's waves of emotions. And sometimes I really like yearn for just the certainty and those people that I've had to leave behind.
Yeah, it's like Rachel Held Evans said in her book, in the Searching for Sunday book, who's going to bring us casseroles when we have a baby? There is, humans are such pack animals. We're so community driven that what I think a lot of what we see in the evangelical church today is people are willing to live in cognitive dissonance rather than lose their community. They will choose to believe something unbelievable rather than lose community.
We were designed to be in community.
Yeah.
I mean, you even look in Genesis, and I mean, God says, it's not good for man to be alone. And I think that is bigger than, we were always taught that was about marriage, right? I think it was way more than that. I think it was just that we are supposed to be in community together. We see later on in the New Testament, don't forsake the assembling of yourselves together. But that looked a lot different then. And so that's the reason I think that all three of us love TikTok. We love each other's company. We love this evangelicalish community that we've been blessed with, because because it is community. And we were designed for that. Like I truly, honestly, deeply believe that we are people who are designed for community, but we are also people who are designed for healthy community.
Right.
Yeah.
And that not only means healthy community internally, but also externally as well. And so that's the reason I you know, a lot of times, like I want to look at a church and I don't want to see how much money you're, you know, spending on your buildings and, you know, your ministries. And, you know, we spent this much money on the youth ministry and this much money on the children's ministry and the, you know, women's and men's and whatever. I want to see how much money you're sending out. I want to see what you're doing for the homeless community in your area. I want to see what you're doing for folks around the world who are without clean water and food and all of those things that matter, right? People who are right here at home. I want to see that, because I think that community needs to be healthy inside and outside. So in other words, that should look like we are good for each other, but we're also not in an echo chamber, that we are good for the world in general. And
I think that's what it was for me too. And of course we had a church that we had started, that we founded and had stepped out of, and we're still attending. But as
can
I
ask you a question? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
You do not have to answer this. And you probably have shared this before, but I don't know if I've heard it. How many years were you at that church, and how big had it gotten? And you don't have to answer either one of those questions if you want to pass.
Sure. It was 10 years. We led the church. We started the church in 2008. I stepped out New Year's Day, 2019. So it was 10 years. You know, we were about a 300 person attendance church. So it kind of through that, and it had fluctuated. We had had a split, and then we'd had another split, you know, what all churches do.
Yeah.
And, you know, so we would go from 380 one Sunday to 120 the next, you know, just because Christians are Christians. But, you know, ultimately more and more, and I know these are good people that I love, I'm talking about, but we just started realizing that we truly were gathering around agreement. And that if I started sharing what was in my heart, which I had been challenged, I would say by God to do, I was going to really harm the people I was in the building with on Sunday mornings. And already there was starting to be the side glances a little bit. And then, so just like you, April, for you and Beecher, the COVID hit, and we still loved that group of people, and we were participating in the online stuff, and it was wonderful. But then we just started realizing, like, man, we don't miss it.
Yeah.
And we don't think we're them. And if community forces me to not be me, and that's not just me, that's any of you. If community forces you to change who you are, not, I mean, we all have to compromise and live together and all of that stuff. But if we have to change the basics of who we are, that's not healthy community, and you got to get out. And I just believe the building of the evangelical church right now is drawing people to unhealthy commitment to a community that is not healthy for very many people.
If we have to compromise our convictions to be within a community, it is not a healthy community.
Absolutely.
So that means that, you know, just like I'm not going to step back from saying faith leaders who are sharing conspiracy theories and telling people not to get the vaccines have blood on their hands. Yeah. I'm not going to step off of that. I'm just not. Like
when we started losing friends because we said, no, God does not believe Donald Trump will be a great president that will make America great again. And it made people in the church angry and call us non-Christians. That's not a healthy environment.
It's not a healthy environment. And the fact that, you know, it was like, I was on another podcast here a couple of weeks ago, and I remember them asking, you know, how do you feel about the label, you know, progressive pastor or progressive Christian or whatever the case is. And I was like, man, you know, I just really have an issue with us boxing our faith into somebody's dog?
My wife is pounding some chicken, I think, for dinner. And let me mute myself, and you keep talking.
No. You're good. You're good. I just thought that was your dog. But I think we have got to stop sticking our faith into these politically framed boxes. I'm not progressive Christian. I'm not I just love Jesus. Like, I just love Jesus. And I am trying to follow his example the best I can. Now, do I think that some of those things mean that I fall more toward the left in our current society and what our nation would deem as the progressive or whatever? Yes, I do.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the thing that I'm trying to do is I'm trying to be obedient to Jesus, and that's all that matters. Yeah. And that means loving people with no strings attached. And so when you are a faith leader, and the problem is, it's the Kenneth Copelands, it's the Jesse Duplantises, it's the, these crazy faith leaders who are saying, the Greg Locks or whatever, who have these massive followings. How many people in their congregations are older, or how many people in their congregations are compromised? And they are telling these people not to be safe. They are telling them that they are disobedient to God if they are not being safe, and people are dying. And if we say that we love people made in the image of God, and we say that we love people who are created and knit together by God, if we say that we love that, then why would we not stand up and go, you are costing those lives, and repent from that? And I cannot compromise that. And so,
for me, it was partly when I realized it wasn't the nutballs saying nutball things. What, Kenneth Copeland and Jesse Duplantis are one thing, and Greg Locke, but the normal evangelical pastors were saying nutball things.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized something is wrong in the system. Not just the crackpots are crackpots. The normal people are becoming crackpots. And that's a system issue.
Not even the normal pastors becoming crackpots, but the few dissenting voices in the crowd, like Russell Moore, Beth Moore, the few people that would speak out and been like, what's happening? Like, maybe we shouldn't be bowing down to Trump, or whatever it was. Those people got alienated and demonized and kicked out the club.
Hand raised. Yes.
Yes.
I'm in that club. Yes. Thank you.
I feels it. I think all three of us have found ourselves a new club, though. So I just think it's crazy. Like, at what point did people look up and go, hey, I can't tell you how many conversations I've had with people in like the mid 2010s, right? Who were like, we love Beth Moore. She is so connected to the Holy Spirit. Like, she just, the things that she writes and says are just connected to the, the heart of God. And then immediately, like when she, starts talking about things that don't fit their narrative, then all of a sudden, she has left the flock.
Fallen away.
Yeah, she's fallen away. And that's the reason. So the other day there was I think this was yesterday, actually. There was a little thing that was going around where it was like, what's something you learn from a job that you'll never forget or whatever. And I just said that evangelicals want their pastors to keep them comfortable.
Yeah.
They don't want discomfort. So when Beth Moore and Russell Moore, especially Auntie Beth, we love her so much. She follows one of us on Twitter.
Yes, she does.
It's me. Yeah. I'm honestly still fangirling about it. I've checked my Twitter every day to see if she's still following me, because I feel like it's got to be a mistake, and I'm afraid to tweet because I don't want to scare her away.
Now here's the challenge, though, April, because you can DM her. So here's the challenge. I want to issue a challenge. I'm gonna need you to slide in those DMs real quick and see if she'll come be a guest on the show.
Oh, no, I can't. Wow. I would die. I don't have it. In me.
I would love it so much. You don't want to
give us your password and we'll do it for you. I do want to talk
to her, but I am so awkward. I would be.
Do you want me to write it for you? I will write it for you.
Cut and paste.
She is going to be in Nashville tomorrow, actually, an in-person thing for free.
Wow. She's like your best friend on
I'll
Twitter.
just go up there. Hi, I'm the girl that impersonated you in that video you thought was funny. Also, her publisher, Tyndale, sent me 3 Beth Moore books because they liked that video.
See, you guys are like this.
Just for funsies.
April, all you have to do is say, I'm on a podcast. We would love for you to come join us sometime if you're free. And you know what she's going to say? She's going to go, that sounds great. I would love to be on your podcast.
Y'all, we could not cuss if she was on here. We would have to be on our best behavior.
No.
Then I'm
Paul
out. I'm out then.
No. Paul.
You behave.
Look me in the face. We will behave. Not just you, because I'm bad too. I smashed an F-bomb like one week when you were gone. We will be nice. We will be nice, but we're gonna need Auntie Beth to join us, because I will fangirl as well. So
that's the thing, though. I don't know that I could even have a actual conversation, because I would just be like,
that's fine.
Like the whole time.
We will have it for you. I had Russell Moore on the radio one time, and it was fantastic.
Yeah. Hey, we need to mid-roll. We got another big topic to do here, but yeah, Jeremy, I love that people were praying for you and your family through this, and so
I'm grateful for all of you. I saw several people asking if there's a Patreon, which is going to go to support these things that I'm working on ahead. These gatherings and just the ministry I'm going to do here in person and online. So if you would like to be a part of that, there's a $5 option, $10, $5, $10, $20, and $50 option. Come be a part of the Patreon community. I would be really, really grateful for that. You get some really cool content. And so anyway, I would really appreciate that.
You're better than me, because I have a Patreon, and I always say this money will go to support starving children. My starving children, my 2 children is what mine is for. But beautiful. All right, guys, thanks. Let's hit the mid-roll.
Are you loving Evangelicalish? Follow us to catch all the latest content and encouragement. You can check us out on TikTok by following @Evangelicalish, or subscribe on YouTube by searching Evangelicalish. That's evangelical with an ISH. And don't forget to catch our live streams each and every single Wednesday night on YouTube at 9 Eastern, 8 Central, and 6 Pacific. And now back to the Evangelicalish podcast.
All right. Oh, you're gonna say something.
I'm really sorry. Can I answer a question in the chat real quick that I just saw pop up?
Yeah, sure.
A friend of mine, Jay Knott, just commented, and he said, so Jeremy, in your opinion, does that make West Metro Pharisees? I said earlier, and Jay, I don't know if you were in here, and I want to make this really clear. I believe that even though that there was a definite difference of opinion in that process, and they didn't appreciate the way that I was saying certain things, and I felt led to say them the way I was saying them. I'm going to say that was a difference of opinion. That was a mutual difference. And on behalf of my relationships, and I mean, that's what I said earlier, right? Is on behalf of my relationships and on behalf of those people that, I love and care about. It was just not going to work moving ahead. I had to be true to who I was. I had to be true to what God was calling me to. And I also, here's a really important point. And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to commandeer anything, but that comment just really caught me. I also believe strongly that if you were going to be a part of an organization and you have committed to follow the leadership of that organization and submit to the leadership of that organization, that you should do that because you've said you would. And so what I realized is that I could no longer submit to that authority because of the things they were asking me to do. And so it was just going to be better because of the things that I believe, because of the things that I feel, because of the things they believe and they feel, that those things were not going to be able to match moving ahead. And so I needed to step back. I needed to step away, and that needed to be sooner rather than later. They felt the same way, that sooner rather than later was good.
But you're not calling them Pharisees.
I will not call them Pharisees, because here's the thing. I still believe in things that happen at that church, that they are doing good for the community. They've had a vaccine clinic. They feed the homeless every single month. They are a church that cares about our community. I truly believe that.
Cool.
But at the same time, there are things that I feel like I need to be able to say. There are things that I need to feel like I need to be able to do and live out in my personal life and in my ministry. And because those things were not on the same page, I needed to step away, and they felt the same way. And so it was very mutual, but I will not call them Pharisees.
Yeah, very good. Hey, April, before you jump in, can I show something really cool?
Yes, please do.
Let me go forward. So Robin, I saw earlier in the comments, I did my Everything Bagel altar call in the last episode, and she gave me this shirt. Is Jesus your everything bagel?
I love that shirt.
So thank you, Robin, for this cool t-shirt that we will be selling on the Evangelicalish website at some point, I would assume. But yes, that is really cool.
Awesome. I love that too. That was amazing. Okay, so
do we also want to tell people to be thinking about our Q&A?
Sure, we can do that.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're going to do a fun Q&A at the end. It's fun questions only. It's icebreaker questions. It's speed dating the Evangelicalish crew. That's what it is. So we want you to ask us some good, like fun icebreaker speed dating questions. April, Paul, and myself are going to answer those at the end of the show. We don't want serious ones. We don't want, what's your views on the rapture? Explain, the book of Hebrews. We don't, none of that garbage. We want you to ask us some fun questions at the end.
Yeah, so be thinking of those questions. Now for our next topic. Is anyone else want to jump in before I go?
Sorry. Go, April. You go.
Just kidding. I've got some sass. Okay. So if you haven't heard, Texas passed a bunch of laws this last week. One of which that's getting a lot of...
How many were there?
There were 666, Paul. If I were my old evangelical self, I would say that's a sign that this was demonic. I'm not saying it's not, though. Anyway, one of those laws that they passed was this abortion bill, which makes it's other words, the heartbeat bill, which basically says once you can detect a heartbeat, which usually is around 6 weeks, you can no longer have an abortion. They are illegal, banned. And they also, the crazy thing of this whole, well, a lot of it's crazy. One of the crazy things is they also kind of put this bounty hunter law into effect, where if someone knows of someone who goes and gets an abortion, so it's not actually the person that gets the abortion, but if someone drove them to a clinic out of state or wherever, or a doctor performed the abortion on them, or a nurse, or anyone who helped assist someone getting an abortion who is a Texas citizen, anybody with no correlation to this person whatsoever, if they just know of this, they can report this person and take them to court and sue for at least $10,000. And if they prevail in court, they get at least $10,000 plus all their legal fees and attorney fees. So that's basically discouraging anyone in Texas that is an abortion provider, to not do it, because they can get sued out of all of their money. There was like a ProLife whistleblower website where people could call in anonymously and just tattletale on people. It's really stupid. Anyway, there's also no exceptions in this bill for rape or incest. There is an exception for medical emergencies, but I think the wording in that was vague. So let's get into some statistics real quick before we talk about this, because I wanted to know some stats. So in Texas is the leading state in the country for rapes, not per capita, just total number. Second is California, and then it drops drastically for the amount of states. And yes, it's because Texas is very large, but regardless, everybody in this state is now being held to this law. Also, Greg Abbott, the governor of Texas, was speaking today in a press conference saying that, someone was asking, like, what if someone gets raped? And he went on record like, oh, we're going to basically handle and arrest all rapists in the state. Like how could you predict when someone's going to rape you? Like, oh, that's not going to be an issue because we're going to arrest them.
Minority Report. We're going to figure it out ahead of time.
Right. Which is so stupid. So anyway, I just want to give you some rape statistics real quick. So nationally, 1 in 6 women are raped. And I am one of them. It's 3% of men. So, and out of every 10,000 rapes that is reported to the police, only 310 are actually only 310 are actually arrested.
Say that statistic again.
No, sorry. Let me say this. Scratch what I just said. Out of 10,000 rapes, only 310 are reported to police. Of that 310, only 50 are arrested, which comes to only 2.5% of all rapes nationally that end in any type of arrest. But it's even crazier than that, because statistically, only 9.2% of all rape victims actually report their rape, which means over 90% of rape victims just go unreported. So wow. Texas is the number one state for rape cases. And no matter what Greg Abbott says, he's not just going to, I never reported mine, because there's a lot of reasons that women don't report it. Also, in 2020, just to give you some stats, there were 54,000 abortions done in Texas. 45,000 of those were 8 weeks or less. So this bill will ban 6 weeks or less, but a lot of women don't even know that they're pregnant at 6 weeks. I know with my first daughter, I was not trying to get pregnant, but I was tracking my cycle because I was trying to avoid being pregnant. So I didn't find out that I was pregnant until 5.5 weeks. And that's only because I was tracking my cycle. And a lot of people have irregular cycles. So, and if you don't know, if you've never had kids or been around a pregnant woman, 6 weeks does not mean you've had an embryo or a fetus inside of you for 6 weeks. That's from the first start of your cycle, of your period, of your menstruation cycle. That's where it starts at day 1. And then it usually takes 14 days before you have implantation, whatever, all the things. Right. So I was also looking at NPR and the Associated Press on what actually is a fetal heartbeat, which is what Texas says is what you hear at 6 weeks. And that is actually medically inaccurate as well. At 6 weeks, a heart has not formed. What you're hearing is just electric activity of what will eventually be a heart. So saying that it's a heartbeat bill or that it's a fetal heartbeat is incorrect. And also saying that calling it a fetus at 6 weeks is also incorrect, because it's just an embryo at that point, because hardly anything has developed. So all of that to say, what the crap, Texas? There's bounty laws also on this, as one of these 666 bills. They allowed anyone to open carry a gun with no license required.
So, and passed massive voter suppression laws.
Yes, but yeah, bunch of crap.
Am I wrong too? In Texas, you can't just walk in and get an abortion. You have to go into the clinic and then leave and come back. Like there has to be a waiting period. So I read that somewhere today that you can't. There has to be 2 clinic visits minimum to get an abortion. So 5.5 weeks, you find out you're pregnant. You've got 3-4 days to decide you're going to have an abortion, which is a heart-wrenching decision. And then you've got to get 2 appointments in there before you hit that 6 weeks.
Yeah. Right. So in literally, Texas is setting this system up where a rapist could rape someone, get that girl pregnant, find out that she went and got an abortion, and then sue whoever provided that abortion or whoever helped her get it. And then you are incentivizing, you're giving them money. So what I don't understand, which I guess the money would be coming out of the abortionists, not the state. But why can't we, when a girl is pregnant, why can't the state just incentivize her, offer her $10,000 to keep her child? If they really want to lower abortions, why can't we help empower the girls and women that are making these choices, this really difficult choice that no one really wants? And abortion is an issue that was really hard for me. It was the thing that kept me Republican the longest. But a lot of it was over a misunderstanding of abortion and how Republicans really aren't pro-life, because they're, if they were truly pro-life, they, maybe they would pass this ban. But with this ban should also be free childcare, free, easy access to birth control, free birth control, better healthcare, you know, and it's all these people that are saying like they don't want their tax money going to welfare. Well, these women, a lot of these women, which this bill is going to affect mostly low income and younger girls who are financially most likely going to be unstable in having this child. The state should, if you're really pro-life, help this child, help these women have their children and put them in a place to where they can give them the proper care that they need without sending them into a foster care system that is also awful. And also like, and just as the church in general, and then I'll let you guys talk. Sorry, I've been kind of going off.
You're going. I like it. I like it.
The church in general, like there are Christian colleges that will kick out pregnant students in their schools.
There's Christian high schools that will do that too.
Yeah, Christian high schools as well. There's never any punishment for the guys. Which is another problem with this bill is there is zero repercussions for the men that are involved. And I don't know if Greg Abbott knows this, but women can't get pregnant on their own.
I don't think he
without
does.
A man. Yeah, that was my wife's thing. So I told her, I was like, "Can you believe they did this?" And she goes, because I was telling her about the video I was going to shoot because I like running through things past her sometimes. And she was like, well, if they're going to do that, then are the men going to jail too? Like, you know, who are the men going to get prosecuted? Like, are the men, you know, going to have to pay these fines? Are the men going to, you know, it's nonsense. It's absolutely insane. And here's the thing. They want to criminalize these women. They want to sick vigilantes on these women. They're deranged QAnon neighbors. They want to sick people on them, right? It's Texas. Like there's some freaking weirdos in Texas and Oklahoma too, to be fair. But I mean, they want to do all that, but men are going scot-free. And it's like a video that's going around right now that all of us have seen on TikTok with, all of these, this guy who like goes to these girls and is like screaming at them on the beach. Yeah. Telling them to change their clothes because they're causing distractions. And it's the only thing he can see, you know? And it's like, man, when are men going to step up and be responsible for their actions? When is that going to happen? And from the very beginning of time, we see at the beginning of scripture in the creation story, Adam and Eve. Well, you know, what does Adam say? Well, God, it was this woman you gave me. Right. So from the very beginning of time, men's nature has been to blame the woman. And so, here we are in this situation. And my wife raised a great question. Well, criminalize these men. You know, and then the thing that I love that I see that's going around was like, well, why not, vasectomies are reversible. Just, give a vasectomy to every boy, and then reverse it when they get married, if they want to reverse it or whatever, but they'll never pass that. Why? Because, that's my body. Those are my rights, or whatever. And it's like, whoa.
You almost need to say if someone goes and gets an abortion, then they need to figure out whoever the father was and snip them until they're ready, like, hey, if you're going to have this abortion, then we're going to do this as well.
In jail. I don't care what you do. Listen, here's the thing. He needs to be responsible. And that's the problem that I have is that, coming from the male perspective on this, purity culture and just society in general has taught men that we are free from the consequences. We don't carry the baby. It's not our problem. We don't, all of these things, like, it's not our problem. You need to put more clothes on because your boobs are distracting me or whatever. Like, get over yourself. Like, you chose the things that you chose. You chose to look, that dude on the beach, like you're the one who's distracted. There's 1,000 other things to look at. Like, literally, he's standing in front of like a beautiful lake with like mountains behind it. And it's like, if this is where your distraction is, you're stupid. Like, you're an animal. And so it's the same thing. Like, guys need to be responsible. They need to take responsibility for the actions that they make. And our culture would be better. And the other thing is, and this is my last point on it. Texas didn't say, well, we're going to pass this extremely strict women's reproductive bill and, that's it. That's all they said. They didn't come back and say, but we're going to support education, and here's our education plan, but we're going to make contraception more available, and here's what we're going to do. Or we're going to empower adoption and make it, affordable and connect more families that are, having infertility issues with, teenage mothers who are afraid to have a baby. Like, we're going to do those things. We're going to put these resources in place. We're going to help everybody. No, they didn't do that. They just cut it. And that's the reason I can't buy it when you say pro-life. You're lying. You're lying because you don't want to support social programs. You don't want to support education. You don't want to support contraception. You don't want to support adoption and foster care. You don't want to tell men to be responsible for their actions. You just want to criminalize a bunch of women and sick a bunch of vigilantes on them. That's insane. It's not pro-life. It's not the gospel. It's stupid. Walk away. Shut up. You're done.
You're done.
You're done. I wanted to just add, I heard a stat today. I haven't had a chance to fact check it, that 8 out of 10 rapes are done by somebody known to the victim. So the idea that you're going to take all rapists off the street means you're going to have to arrest every uncle, dad, brother in the state, which is ridiculous. But when we're talking into the deconstruction space, one of the things that for me in my Christianity is abortion was never an issue that enlivened me and got me animated. And I literally had a moment of prayer time, like, God, why don't I care about this like everybody else does? And I just had a sense of, God saying, I'm bigger than all of this. If I'm really a big God, I can have mercy and destiny for everybody in the situation. The baby, the mother. I think we just worship such a tiny, small God that we think, if Psalm 139 is proof that life begins at conception, Psalm 139 says God knows all of our days before there was one. So God is not going to be surprised by the abortion. He knows it's coming. So stop with the small God thing. And what I want to tell people is, and I've been doing a series of videos on this, the Bible does not say life begins at conception. It just flat out doesn't. Now, you can cobble verses together and make that argument for sure. But nowhere in the Bible does it say life begins at conception. All of those verses, Psalm 139, Jeremiah 1, Luke 1, I can refute all of those. And so none of that is me saying abortion's great. I think it's a gut-wrenching decision for people. I don't know that there's ever a time where people are like, yay, an abortion occurred today, or very few people would do that. And I think that's a little bit of a straw man that anti-abortionists throw out. But the thing is, this issue has so overwhelmed evangelicalism and made it into this right-wing religion that Christians and we know from Republican circles, they just say, all we have to do is yell abortion, and Christians will do whatever we tell them to do. Yeah. That's the way the Republican Party looks at Christians. We own you because of abortion. Right. And with that being such a factor, and us, so, we're saying this must be the most important issue on God's heart above all else. And it drives us to this single issue voting and all of these things, and ultimately to Donald Trump. Then the Bible should back that up. And the Bible does not in any way back it up.
I've often said that Republicans have no desire to fix abortion.
Oh, I think the Texas legislature, the dogs that have caught the car at this point, they're going to be going, what the hell do we do now?
Well, and there was an article too, talking about just the economic ramifications from banning all of these abortions and then having all these extra children and then all these extra people that were going to have to support them somehow, but may not have the means to, which is going to turn to the governments. Like there's going to be lots of ripple effects that I don't think that they've thought through.
Well, and here's one, guys. A woman who miscarries. Can you imagine a miscarrying mother having to go into court to prove that she had a miscarriage?
That's the Salem witch trials, man.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh.
That's what that is. But Republicans have no desire at the national level to fix abortion because it's their thing. It's the thing that wins them votes. That's the single issue. It's the same reason that I believe that the Democrats have no desire to actually fix like dreamer legislation. And I know that sounds crazy, but it's the thing that they can stand on is immigrants and dreamers getting citizenship. And so, you know, it's just really sad. And I think our political system's broken. Now, again, I mean, obviously there's no secret that I lean left, but I think, you know, there's just stuff that these parties have decided they're going to stand on. But if they ever fixed it, they would have one less leg. Yeah. And they know that. And so I just, you know, it's brutal to watch. Yeah. And you are using women and young girls as pawns in your political game is what you're doing. And
Lori said,
disgusting.
Yeah, Lori said in the comment that Texas didn't stop anything. They didn't stop abortions. They just stopped safe abortions, which also is the ramifications of women using coat hangers now and going back to
what I said.
The dark ages.
You didn't you didn't lower abortion numbers. You just took them out of clinics with doctors and put them into closets with coat hangers. That's what you did.
And South Korea they had a 60-year ban on abortion, and they just legalized it last year because they found that in South Korea, they had more abortions per capita than the United States did. And that it was the wealthy women, the middle class to wealthy women had safe abortions, and the poor had dangerous abortions.
And that's going to be the same case in Texas. The rich and wealthy women they'll be able to afford it and find a way. It's going to fall on people of color and low income and young teens. I want to.
Oh, go ahead, April.
I was just going to say, Joy and Lexi have been fact checking us in the comments, and so I just want to address it.
Okay.
They said that they don't like the argument that we should just get men to get vasectomies with it being reversible because it's actually really risky and there's no guarantee of it being reversible. So I do think we were probably being a little more facetious. Like, I don't think anyone would want to force vasectomies, but I think that's kind of the point, that you can't force men to do that because it's also really risky to have a child and to go through pregnancy. So anyway, I agree with you guys. Just wanted to acknowledge that. I was going to say something else, but you go ahead, Paul.
I'm sorry to interrupt, April. This is one of Shannon here said, I had an abortion 15 years ago. I confessed, I've forgiven, but I want to stop believing I deserve to be unhappy. This is the other dark, shadowy thing of our abortion stance is we're shaming women. I literally had a woman when I was pastoring tell me, I got pregnant in college and I was so terrified to tell my dad that I had sex that I went and got the abortion. I knew it was going to mean I was going to hell, but I chose that I would rather go to hell than tell my dad I had sex. Yeah. And this is what we're doing to young women with this.
Paul, I can relate to that so much because I remember, and I wasn't even sexually active, but I remember my mind would just go to like worst case scenarios. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, if I were to ever get pregnant, however that would be, like before I was married, I remember thinking like I would rather my dad find out that I had killed someone than find out that I had sex. And the thought of having abortion like crossed my mind because I was so terrified of the shame that would come if people found out that I had sex. And like that shame is intense for Christian girls. And like that wasn't even me thinking about the responsibility of raising a kid. That was just the thinking about the shame that I would have to deal with being pregnant out of wedlock.
Wow. God have mercy on us.
Yeah.
Well,
should we mid-roll and go to our Q&A time?
On that note, I know I would never kill anyone, just for the record.
Good.
In case y'all were wondering, there's a few guys on TikTok that I wouldn't mind like slapping a little bit, but I wouldn't kill them.
Thanks. All right, cool.
Are you loving Evangelicalish? Follow us to catch all the latest content and encouragement. You can check us out on TikTok by following @Evangelicalish or subscribe on YouTube by searching Evangelicalish. That's Evangelical with an ISH. And don't forget to catch our live streams each and every single Wednesday night on YouTube at 9 Eastern, 8 Central, and 6 Pacific. And now, back to the Evangelicalish podcast. All right. I don't know how you train. We should have thought about this. I don't know how you transition from that.
The mid-roll clears the palate.
Does it? Yeah. If we had longer mid-rolls with like sponsors, that would be great. We're looking at you people. So anyway, hey, by the way, I don't know. I may be talking out of turn here, but over the 2 weeks, Paul and April and I, every Wednesday morning, except for this morning because I was a loser and I didn't make it, thanks to my boss. But every Wednesday morning, we actually spend time together on a Zoom call because I don't know if you guys know this or not, but this is 3 different time zones. But we spend time together on a Zoom call and we discuss the show for that week. So the last 2 weeks, while we took off between season 3 and season 4, we also met on Wednesdays and talked about some really exciting stuff that's coming up in the future, which does involve a web gathering that's going to happen. And then also an in-person gathering that is going to happen.
Come on.
And we're super excited to give you more details on that. It is in the works. It is in the works. We can guarantee you that. We will be face to face. I'm going to meet Paul and April in the same room for the first time.
Crazy. I know. I still can't believe I feel like I know y'all so well, but we've never actually met.
It's going to be weird too. Cause like, it's just so much different when you meet people in person. I don't know. It's going to be fun. And so we want to meet all of you guys as well. So there's going to be an evangelical web conference. And then later on, there's going to be an evangelical conference in person. We're super excited about it.
God, that'd be awesome.
I mean, it's just really good.
That'd be awesome.
So we've been brainstorming at the future. We took the 2 weeks off and we used our time well, just to give all of our listeners a, hopefully some encouragement that we are working hard to make sure that, things are coming up for you guys. Okay. So transitioning tonight, we want your icebreaker questions. Well, where's the in-person gathering going to be? We have actually, I know this is going to sound crazy. We have discussed Oklahoma City. And just because it's in the middle of the country and I've got some connections here as far as like space and things like that, where we wouldn't have to rent out anywhere to meet. And so we've actually discussed coming into Oklahoma City, which would be a ton of fun. It's right smack dab in the middle of the country.
All roads lead to OKC, baby.
I mean, they kind of do. And that's actually like a thing around here. It's like, we got Route 66, I-40, I-35. It's the crossroads of America.
Beecher asked a question. I don't know if you saw that one. It's further up. He said, okay. You see it?
Yes. So we want your icebreaker speed dating questions. Beecher asked a good one here. What is the worst show you've ever binge watched / secretly loved? I assume we'll just go around the wheel and all answer these questions. Paul, what is the worst show you
define worst? Does that mean like bad or dirty?
I think it's up to interpretation, Paul.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I would probably say if you ever saw House of Cards, the Kevin Spacey American version, my wife and I loved that show. And it was the darkest, we felt like we needed a shower after we watched every episode, but we loved it until like season 4, it really got stupid.
Which show
ridiculous.
Did you say? Sorry.
House of Cards. Kevin
Cards.
Spacey.
I've seen House of Cards.
Robin Penn.
Was brutal.
Oh, and it was just so dark and disgusting, and we loved it. And the main character is just this horrible, horrible man, and you can't help but root for him to win and push the girl in front of the subway train and get away with it. So it was a terrible show, and we felt horrible, but we loved it.
It was terrible as far as content, but it was a really good show.
It was
like 4th season. It got like,
but that's about the time that Kevin Spacey got caught. Not being kind.
I went back and watched a little of season 6, and it was so bad. It was such a terrible show.
That last season without Kevin Spacey was just awful. Yeah. I tried to watch it, and I was like, "This is stupid. I'm watching this."
Because they built the show around his character, right? Like, I mean,
right. And then they killed him off in like some wishy-washy way, and it was stupid. The worst show that I've ever been watched and secretly loved. I don't think I've ever said this out loud, and I'm a little bit embarrassed. but I used to
love
have
what your
like a
husband
guilt.
is asking this
I
question.
know. I don't even know if he knows this. Ooh, this was before him. I used to really love Jersey Shore.
Yeah, you did. I saw that coming.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
We have just
The
learned something about
situation.
you.
Yeah, it was so
Like
stupid.
the
It was a
situation.
season of life. But I lived vicariously through their awfulness, and they were all terrible people, and it was just very entertaining. There you go. What was yours, Jeremy?
So mine is The League. It's about fantasy football. The show was just dumb. Like, it was just stupid. Like, the whole thing was just stupid humor. And it was just ridiculous. Like, but it was definitely a fun show. Okay. Quick round here.
Do you see any other questions?
Oh, yeah. I've got a few lined up here.
Okay.
Okay. Quick round. Just an answer, no explanation. Parks and Rec or The Office? April.
Parks and Rec.
Paul.
Office.
I'm also The Office, by the way.
They're both really good, though. It's
both really good.
I would actually have them more on equal, but
no. So apparently they were, not apparently, they were created by the same people, and Parks and Rec was supposed to be a spinoff, but it wasn't. It didn't end up being a spinoff.
It's like my husband. He didn't know about Jersey Shore, and now he's in all caps saying this would have been such a red flag. That's probably why I didn't tell you.
Shannon says, most importantly, favorite Disney princess or favorite Marvel superhero, because DC sucks. I feel like that's going to bring up some debate, but all right, Paul.
Marvel.
This everybody's going to hate me because I hate Disney princess movies and I hate comic book movies.
Is wrong
with you? Yeah. So I would say none of the above. None of the above.
Stupid
brother.
Answer.
I never watch any of those movies ever.
April, favorite Disney princess or Marvel
favorite
superhero?
Disney princess just for her badassness is Mulan. And favorite Marvel character, I'm gonna be like such a basic white girl here, but I'm gonna say Thor.
Nice.
Chris Hemsworth, Thor specifically.
I don't watch Marvel or DC. I haven't watched any of it. Yeah,
any of them.
Any of it.
What?
Oh, I just got destroyed, and then here you come. Like, oh yeah. So I ran interference for you there.
They're so good. There's a whole universe, Infinity War.
Yeah, imagine that.
What?
I also don't watch Harry Potter. I'm sorry.
I did see Black Panther though, and that was fantastic.
Black Panther is good.
Yeah.
But did you at least watch the Marvel? Neither of you watched the Marvel movies?
Never. I have zero desire to see.
I don't know that I could have gone into a podcast with y'all if I had this information.
Okay. All right. Goodness. My favorite Disney princess, hands down, Moana.
Oh, Moana is cool.
She's a badass. Like, if I was Moana, I would be just fine with that. So, also the music in that movie, Alex Lacamoire. Yeah, well, Alex Lacamoire and Lin-Manuel Miranda wrote a lot of that soundtrack as well. Which they also wrote the Vivo soundtrack. You guys need to check out.
I did watch Vivo. That was fun.
All right. NFL or SEC? I'm going to say SEC. April?
NFL.
Paul?
Well, the SEC pays higher salaries than the NFL, but I'll go NFL for sure. SEC says it's great, but it just has way more money than everybody else.
Cult-like behavior that goes on when you're an SEC fan.
Absolutely.
They're like,
when you're the greatest,
it's like Formula One racing. He with the most money wins, and that's SEC football. You have more money, you pay higher prices for your amateur players, and you win football games. Yeah, big whoop. I'm not impressed.
That's enough out of you. All right.
And other conferences actually have football players that go to school. It's a crazy thing as opposed to the SEC.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're really getting like some crazy good educations out there at like Oregon.
It's a pretty good school. And Stanford, USC, these are good schools, my friend.
On purpose. But Vanderbilt's a good school too, and
it is. You're correct, and that's why they never win anything.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't tell me those Auburn kids are getting a great education, though. Let's not kid ourselves.
The Auburn, I know a few graduates from Auburn. They're very successful people.
Okay.
Oh, that's too much. You know what? But none of them are Ivy League.
True that.
Right. Which one of you will run for politics?
I think we've all probably thought about it at one point.
We have.
I'm not the politician in my family, and my window is closed. But I always thought I would. But yeah, no.
I actually filed to run.
Oh,
nice.
In 2016, for an open state house seat, and then I withdrew from the race because I guess my voter registration didn't move fast enough. Like when we moved back to Oklahoma City from Tulsa, and it was while they were having the teacher walkouts, and I was a teacher at the time, and so I got really impassioned and decided to run for office. And then I realized that my voter registration hadn't moved fast enough. War Eagle, that's right. Yeah, don't talk mess about the SEC.
Don't mess with Auburn, baby.
That's right. Okay. All right. A couple of good ones here. Another fast one. Friends or How I Met Your Mother, Paul.
Oh man, tough one because I love them both. But I did hate the ending of How I Met Your Mother. So I guess I'll go with Friends.
April?
I'm going to say Friends as well.
I'm going to say Friends as well. I've actually never watched How I Met Your Mother, but me and my wife love Friends. So
that's not really a fair. You can't really answer that. Then.
How I Met Your Mother is
you
a go back.
Recuse yourself.
Yeah, it's a go back and watch. It's brilliant how they put it together.
Wait, okay, but Seinfeld over all of them.
No.
Yes. Seinfeld over Friends. What?
No.
What is?
You know what's funny about Friends? When Friends came out. And it was getting all popular. I was one of the, I'm like, I'm never going to watch this show. Good God, these ultra slick, and one day it was on while I was working in TV at the time, and it was on. And all of a sudden I was laughing out loud, and I'm like, oh, this is a funny show. And I was a fan ever since. So, yeah, it's good.
Love Friends. My favorite show of all time is The Office. And I also like House. By the way, as well. All right. Favorite DC Talk song? April, you got a favorite DC Talk song? I'm
trying to remember them all.
I'm a fan of DC Talk.
Gosh, I mean, Jesus Freak's a classic, but that's so base. That's like the basic answer. I
Kevin Max is one of us now, by the way.
Yeah, Kevin Max is for sure.
Yep,
He's an ex-evangelical. I think I really loved the Supernatural album.
I did too.
I think that was my favorite. So on that one, there was this one that was
Red Letters.
Oh, that one was good.
Yeah,
but no, the one where it's like, my friend, you let us in.
Oh yeah.
You've gone astray.
So long, my friend. Goodbye.
Yeah, so long, my friend. I really love that song. I mean, it's like not one of their most popular ones at all.
But it was a good song. It was a good song.
I did love that song. But there's some like, DC Talk is one thing that I will not deconstruct. I am keeping DC Talk where they are.
But think about they were, I mean, for lack of a better phrase, like they were the deconstructionists of their time, right? Like speaking out against like racial injustice and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What If I Stumble is that was actually
that's a good one.
That was actually probably going to be my song between that and Colored People. Like, oh man.
Yeah.
Those are both really good songs. Paul, do you have a favorite DC Talk song?
I'm a little bit out of the age bracket for DC Talk. I was never a huge fan. And like the songs that I know are I Am Free and God's Not Dead. And those are both the crappiest, most horrible songs that ever in the history of mankind.
That's Newsboys.
Was that Newsboys?
Yes. Do not
same shit, different day. Yeah.
Like although it is Michael Tate. It is a singer from DC Talk.
It is Michael Tate.
I will deconstruct Michael Tate though. He's kind of gone off the.
But I will recuse myself from the question because I have no expertise.
Michael Tate's like the last dude that's like uber into that world. Like, I mean, even Toby is like, has given us some like really good music and talked about things that have been kind of like expanding the faith mind, right? Like not as much as Kevin, but yeah, Michael's stuck.
Okay, someone I don't know if we have time for this, but Lexley did ask if we could talk to anybody, dead or alive. Who would it be?
That's a good one.
And I just want to say,
Jesus.
She said Jesus is not an acceptable answer because we can talk to Jesus any day, any moment. Anyway, that was like a Jesus juke answer. I would want to talk to the Apostle Paul and say, "What the crap, man."
Listen here, you son of a bitch.
I would like to teach him misogyny and inform him of how these letters are going to be interpreted and be like, yeah, let's not put that in there. I almost said something. Anyway, that would be mine.
That's a good one.
I really wish you had finished that sentence. Anyway, go ahead.
I stopped it because I don't know.
What?
He's still done a lot of good
That's
things.
a really great question. Okay, let's.
By the way, you could have asked me my favorite Carmen song, and then I could have rocked. I could have rocked that out. I can answer
that one too.
I hated Carmen.
Oh, that's funny.
I hated Carmen, like even from the beginning, because I just thought his music was cheesy.
It was. Yeah. It was so dancey.
No,
and
it was
like hold, it could like move, and
so DC talking POD. That was my jam, and I still like POD.
POD.
And they put an album out here a while back that they just dropped an F-bomb like flat in the middle of their song, talking about Jesus, and it was so good. Jars of Clay. Oh, but Jars of Clay, like the first album. Jars of Clay, the original album. God, that album was so good.
Ooh, most overrated Christian band is Third Day. I can't stand.
I don't agree with that. They're pretty good.
No, they're just like wannabe like
Mercy
like
Me,
Lifehouse or Creed. They're like the Christian Creed, and
Mercy
nowhere
Me.
near as good.
No, Mercy Me.
Mercy Me.
Mercy Me is way overrated. No. Although I will say Bart has some freaking killer vocals though.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay.
I was never a Christian music fan. I think Christian music has always sucked, and I was always a rebel, so I don't even know Christian music at all, other than Carmen.
Yes, Katy Perry was a backup singer for POD at one point. She also dated Matt Thiessen, who was the lead singer from
Reliant K.
I love
Reliant K.
Is my favorite band probably of all time.
I won't deconstruct them either. Actually, no. I think Reliant K was deconstructing before any of us were, because some of their songs were so deep. I was like, oh,
the album, they were deconstructing.
Yes.
Okay.
Alive or dead person? Is that what we're still on?
Dead or alive? Anyone to talk to? Who would you talk to, Paul?
God, I feel like I'm going to come up with some cheesy answer. I love Winston Churchill from history. I just think he was an amazing guy that had to sort of stick to his guns at a time when he wasn't going to stick there. But probably Malcolm X. I think, if Malcolm X had lived, what would he have done in the world? I would love to hear more from Malcolm X.
That's super funny because my answer to this question is Martin Luther King Jr.
Yeah, there you go.
I remember reading a book about MLK in second grade and going to my mom and being like, I've got to find things that matter, and fight for it. Like, I just remember reading about him, like being in the jail in Birmingham and stuff like that. Hey, by the way, okay, so yeah, MLK.
King James, and ask him WTF.
King James is gay, or was gay. He's not alive anymore.
Yeah, no, he was bi.
I did not know this until last week.
You didn't know that?
No, I did not. No one informed me of that, and I'm not alone, because a lot of people were commenting saying that they did not teach me that in Sunday school.
Lexi Conley said, Jeremy, are you okay? These takes are killing me, man. What takes are killing you? Lexi, I love you.
A live person, I think Pope Francis would be fascinaing.
1,000%. I am 100%. Or Obama.
Or Obama. I would, that would be.
Beecher said, are you talking about John Brown? The John Brown, the abolitionist?
Yeah, the Civil War era.
Yeah, he would be fascinating too. What a fascinating person he was.
Harriet Tubman.
Nelson Mandela. That's a good one.
People alive. I would definitely want to sit down with Obama and Gordon Ramsay. Don't at me on the Gordon Ramsay thing. I know that's off base, but
I would love to sit down with Ronald Reagan and say, South Africa, like AIDS, like all of a sudden you became anti-abort, like WTF guy. You won the South by all your racist dog whistles. You totally changed this thing, man. But what WTF to you too?
Can we, okay. Somebody said either of the Obamas. Can we, Michelle Obama. I know listen, Michelle, listen really close.
What is happening?
We need you to run for president.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Her book was amazing.
We love you.
Mm-hmm.
We love your husband, but we actually love you more. Could you run for president of the United States and save us, please? Okay, sorry. I had to throw that out there. All right, last one.
We have a Kamala Harris out there.
Stephen Colbert is a good one.
Colbert.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg is another really good one. Lexi said my third day take and the Marvel take. Listen, I'm sorry. The Marvel thing is not personal. And the third day thing, like they actually had some songs that like really connected with me when I was like a kid and like, you know, whatever. But yes, Michelle Obama, actually still one of my favorite verses in the Bible. They have a song about like, our God is a consuming fire. Hebrews 12:29, which I still earnestly believe that we're being given a kingdom that can't be shaken, and that we should worship God acceptably, with reverence and awe. And so anyway, I believe those things. All right, last question. This is an important one. Somebody asked this a little bit earlier in the chat. Best place to get barbecue. And being from Oklahoma, that is an important question for me, and it matters. So April, I will toss it to you first. Best place to get barbecue.
I'm not really a big barbecue fan, but my favorite barbecue that I've had in my life is in Texas, and it's called Spring Creek Barbecue. And that's my favorite.
Texas barbecue is solid, and Oklahoma is a hybrid of that for sure. Paul?
I mean, I was born in KC, and Kansas City certainly claims that they have the best barbecue. I'm sort of like April, and particularly since I had gastric bypass, or I can't really eat barbecue sauce anymore. So I would much more rather tell you where I can get the best Mexican.
Hold on, back up.
You didn't know I had gastric bypass surgery?
I did not know you had gastric bypass.
2017. Yeah, I weighed 314 pounds.
You what?
I weighed 314 pounds. Yeah, I did.
How did I know this?
You guys are learning stuff about me today, aren't you?
April, you knew this?
I did not.
Okay. I'm not like shaming anybody. I'm just like legit. Like, how did I not know this?
Yeah.
Like, you look like you're in fantastic shape now.
Well, it definitely helped. When you lose 80 pounds a month after you have the surgery, it makes an impact. So yeah, it was life-changing.
You should make a TikTok before and after.
No,
I should, huh? I should.
That's a good one, and make it short so that the algorithm.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, we'll talk about that.
We need to get you more followers. The algorithm doesn't.
Abortion finally got me moving a little bit on my.
Well,
my TikTok
and I think kind of like we've been talking about, like making some like shorter content that like gets viewed for the the duration or whatever is always good. But that would be a good one. That would be a really good one, because I didn't know that. I think people would like to know that.
Oh, good idea. Didn't even think about it. But yeah, so I can't eat barbecue. So I like Mexican and Armenian and all the amazing foods.
Are like dismissing us.
Yeah, I think we were like, oh, this will be fun. They can get to know us and like us better. And so far, they hate us more.
Yeah.
No, here's April. Let's see. First, third day, now barbecue, 2 strikes.
I do have to give you a strike for third day, April. That I can't get with.
No, I am doubling down. I stand by I do not like third day at all. I think their voices are annoying. I don't like their songs. Do you like
Chris Stapleton?
Chris Stapleton. Who's that? Is that the country guy?
You're as smooth as Tennessee whiskey.
Okay, I know who that is. I also don't like country music, so.
Amen, sister. I hate country music.
I'm sure
I don't like country music. I like stuff that has like a folk flair. Right?
There's some country music that is, fine, but overall, it's not my go-to.
Joy. How many? So I usually tonight I don't, but usually I have a backdoor barbecue or a Big Truck Tacos cup that I'm drinking my water out of. So yes, I love backdoor barbecue, but I'm going to say this. Chris Stapleton is like the blues. Yeah. But it's got a twang to it. It's got some folkiness to it. I also really like Zach Williams, and he did a song with Dolly Parton, which was really, really good. Then there was Jesus. Oh man, that song just gets me every time. Anyway, the barbecue that I like is mine.
Is yours? Oh,
yeah,
nice.
Buffalo smoked barbecue. Some of you guys have seen that hat.
This is why he wanted to do this question. He just wanted to plug himself.
I thought it was a good question because that's actually like a very debatable thing because some people like Texas barbecue, some people like Kansas City barbecue, some people like North Carolina barbecue. Like those are all different like veins of barbecue. It's a very debatable question. So, but I would say mine's more like Texas barbecue, and I sold barbecue for a while. Kind of as a cottage business, Buffalo smoked barbecue. You'll see me wearing the hat occasionally, but yeah, I still get on the pit for my friends, and they love my ribs. I make some killer ribs.
That's great.
That's nice. That's
doing
nice.
Chris is lame. How is that lame? I will say my favorite local is probably Backdoor. Backdoor barbecue on 23rd here in Oklahoma City is amazing.
Nice.
If it is okay, hold on. If Lexi said, if it isn't sweet and thick, then I don't want it.
I do. These are moments where I like to remind people that
on like a lot of levels, but
one thing I found that was funny we do have good barbecue out here in California because a lot of cattle are out here. We have way more cattle than Kansas. We have more corn than Nebraska, more wheat than Kansas, and I think as many Longhorns as Texas. But so we do have good barbecue out here. It's just not my thing.
Okay, somebody said something about Austin. I really want to go to Franklin's barbecue. I don't believe you about barbecue in California, Paul.
Oh my gosh, we have a place called. I just thought of this. There's Ribline in Pacific Grove, where one of the Food Network guys came out and did a show there. It's supposed to be pretty famous.
Is it Guy Fieri? Because
Guy Fieri, there it was.
Yeah. I love Guy Fieri.
Yeah. Now I think it may have been the guy that like Man versus Food guy.
Oh, Adam. Adam.
Yeah.
Something.
That guy.
I know him. Adam Richmond. Yeah, I like that.
That was him. Yeah, that's cool.
He's lost a ton of weight too since he quit doing Man versus Food.
Wait a second. Okay, the All Britain family is out now. Mexican food in California sucks. You're crazy.
I'm sorry. Are you trying to say that California Mexican food is better than Tex-Mex?
Absolutely.
Than Tex-Mex?
10,000%. Oh my God.
No. You're biased.
By the way, Tex-Mex is not Mexican food. It is Texas food. And we do have Tex-Mex out here. Real live Mexican food is.
We do in Oklahoma too, man. Listen. Our taquerías here in Oklahoma are, it's killer.
I did live in El Paso for a while, but El Paso is not Texas, so I would say El Paso has real Mexican food. But
I think you just lost all your credibility by saying California has better Mexican food.
Oh, you're insane. Do you understand where California is located? Do you guys not know geography back there? You're nuts. No state in America has better Mexican food than California.
Okay,
just stop. Just stop. Just stop. You're crazy. You're nuts.
You guys are connected to like a little like Baja tip. You're not even connected to Mexico.
Do you understand how much of our population is Hispanic? Good Lord.
This too, Paul.
Look, this is America to me. All I know is learn
Texas, man. Oh man. Okay, but the best like authentic I've had was in a Mayan village, Chonchen, Mexico.
Oh, look at Beecher here.
Stop. Beecher, when have you had Mexican
California
food
has better Mexican food.
Get out.
Beecher, that's enough.
We're about
like I said, yeah. So I lived in El Paso, and they did have killer Mexican food there. So on the Texas-Mexico border, I would say you're probably right. But every Texan I know tells me El Paso is not Texas, so then I don't count it as part of Texas.
What?
But it's still part of Texas. So
But it is Texas.
And like Texas, California was part of Mexico for a long,
there's
long
already
time,
there's like a natural war between California and Texas. Like Texans hate Californians because they're all coming in, taking over, and turning Texas blue.
To Texas.
So there's a natural war where Texans hate California and Californians never think about Texas. That's what the war
I could have
is.
seen that too. It's so dumb.
You say that, but here you are taking shots at Texas.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying California has the best Mexican food. That's not a shot at Texas. That's just stating fact.
Okay. All right. Here's what we're doing. We're going to Texas. We're going to Oklahoma because I think we have the best Mexican food. And we're going to California.
How long is that Oklahoma-Mexico border? What's the?
Sorry, Jeremy. To be fair,
no, that's enough.
Oklahoma only has good Mexican food because it's so close to Texas.
I thought good Mexican food. Now, I grew up in Missouri, which is a little ways from Oklahoma, and good Mexican food to us in Missouri when I was growing up was Taco Bell. That was good Mexican food for us. So.
Well,
okay, but this is not Missouri, Paul.
It's close.
And April,
it's close.
No, it's not.
Oh my gosh, I lived in.
I share a space doesn't mean that it's close. A region of the country.
You forget I lived back there. I know they're very close. I lived in Baxter Springs, Kansas, which is.
That's enough of that. April, how am I gonna help you out with the Texas thing? And then you're gonna roll me under the bus to let me taste the tires.
Because you just said Oklahoma has the best Mexican food.
I didn't say the best.
Okay, well then I misheard you, and I apologize. Civil discourse.
I said that we should try Texas, Oklahoma, and California.
Okay.
Because I feel like all three of those have really great Mexican food. Like I feel like we have really, really, really good Mexican food here. Okay. Like especially at some of the local taco places. They're really good. And so I would compete. And I'm just saying we could do that.
It's going to be an expensive test. We'll have to TikTok live.
I think if you went to El Paso or McAllen or Calexico, you would say, we ain't got no damn Mexican food in Oklahoma. We got something that sort of seems like Mexican food, but it's
have no idea. Like if you came to Oklahoma,
I love this pointless argument.
Yes, it's so good. I'm glad we landed here tonight at 9:36. Okay,
it's 10:37 my time. I'm an old woman. I need to go to bed.
It's late for April. Yes, it is.
That's all correct. Okay, listen. Final point to this.
Brandon says Taco Bell originated in California. That's hilarious.
Yeah, that's right. Because it's garbage. All right. So when we have the Evangelicalish conference in person, and you guys end up here in the 405, I will take you. I will show you the greatest Mexican food you've ever had, and you're going to stop. And Paul, this is going to be your reaction.
Not a chance.
Jeremy?
Ever had is kind of saying that it's the best in Oklahoma.
Listen.
I recant my apology.
Yeah, no, you won't. You won't when we do this. And you're both going to look at me, and April's going to be like, things I saw Jeremy post on Facebook. It is so good Mexican food here. And you know what? He's right.
Next, you're going to tell me Oklahoma has better clam chowder than we do. Come on.
Oh, listen, we're not in the
Jeremy's like, we do have the best clam chowder.
Your face has the best clam chowder.
At Bob's Clam Chowder down the road.
No, it's Billy Bob's Clam Chowder.
Billy Bob's Clam Chowder. Ew.
Delicious.
Okay, I love y'all. We've got to wrap this up.
All right. Yep. Good night, guys. Oh my gosh. Well, that was fun. That was fun.
All right. For Paul and April, I'm Jeremy. We love you guys. Love God and people passionately. No strings attached. We will be back next week, season 4, episode 2. If you haven't yet, go subscribe on your very favorite podcast channel. We are on all of the major platforms. And if you don't have a platform to do your podcast, go to pod.co/evangelicalish. That's evangelical with an ISH, and you can check us out there. All right. Much love. We will see you guys.
Good night, everybody.